Hey everybody, it's Brady from Celtics Film Room, and this will be a shorter video, but still a good breakdown of what the Heat Celtics series may look like and how the Celtics are going to have to match up with Miami. It's going to be more centered of how the Celtics prepare for Miami versus looking at Celtics regular season film versus Miami, because at the end of the day, Miami's roster is a lot different than it was when they played. And the Celtics were missing guys all year when they played, and they were missing Rob. I think almost every game they played him, and no Kevin Love. No Ola. I mean, there was no Kevin Love. There is now Kevin Love. No Oladipo, no PJ Tucker from last year, and no um, what's his name, Tyler Hero. So it's a different series, and just taking a look, at how the Celtics match up. So we'll go through this quick. But offensively, Miami, their go-to is going to be their Kyle Lowry and Gabe Vincent pick and roll with Bam. Um, so here, actually, they'll set up. This is not that play, but I'll just keep talking through, and some of these plays will be what they are. But they love to set up pick and roll. They'll do Spain, but see right here, they'll set up. This is their go-to. They're going to set up Spain on this play right here. But their go-to is that Bam Lowry pick and roll here. You can see New York gets all sorts of kinds of confused here, and they're going to run Spain, and Duncan's actually going to pop to the 3-point line here and put pressure. And Duncan actually could have made this pass, but he throws a little look, not even a pass fake, and that gets RJ away, so he can get an open three here. But just an example. This is their bread and butter. This is what they're going to run a lot of the series, and how the Celtics defend that is going to be important. And I think, part of that is I think the Celtics are just going to have to force Bam to go one-on-one and try to beat them that way. I think they have good individual defenders to do that. You can allow and try to force Kyle Lowry to work over those screens and then try to suck him into Rob. And ideally at that point, it's 10 the shot clock. You get a good closeout, or you force, Miami, to make a pass out of it. And then from that point, you can, late shot clock rotation, you can force up a late shot clock three. You might see some of that. So I'll be curious to see how they open up tonight versus Miami and how they guard that. And then from there will be the adjustment game. But I think you have to be willing to give up the Bam jump shots in this series. But this is what Miami's going to go to. They want to get the ball to Bam in the middle of the court here. This just poor defense by the Knicks on that play, and then I'm getting a miss. But Miami wants to get the ball to Bam in the middle of the floor. And here, if this is the case, one-on-one, you got to let that be the case all day. Just let Bam go to work one-on-one. Let that be the offense. Do not give up off-ball cuts. Do not let Jimmy Butler roam to the hoop, right? Because what they're going to do is they want to get the ball here. They're going to run this. They're going to spam this Lowry and Vincent Bam pick and roll. And what they're going to do is they're going to force you to make, and then they're going to force Bam to make a rim decision. From there, are you going to shoot the ball? Or are you going to? They want to get the ball to Bam on the move. So from there, Bam can either shoot the mid-range shot. If they collapse, the defense collapses. He can make the kick-out pass to the corner to Vincent. That Miami's good on their spacing, and from there, that's how their offense has been created a lot, especially in the New York series. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get the ball to Bam in the middle of the floor, running, and then from that point, you can force Bam to make a decision. And the problem with New York is, they got Mitchell Robinson out away from the hoop here, so there's no real rim protection now at the back line. So it forces Mitchell Robinson to really hold on to Kyle Lowry, and then from here they got to communicate a little bit longer. At this point, Deuce McBride recovered, so Mitchell Robinson should have gotten back a little bit sooner here, but he's not the most athletic, remember, and it takes him a minute, and Bam's going to knock down the jump shot. But that's what Miami wants. They want to get the ball to the middle of the court, and then from that point, they can make a decision. And then we'll see here also, that when Jimmy Butler's on the court, they're going to want to get the ball into the middle of the court here. Vincent just gets a little floater here, but they're going to run a ton of pick and roll. That's going to be their main go-to. They're going to run Bam, Bam screen and roll, try to get the ball to him in the middle of the court, and then they're going to have Jimmy roaming, and from there, and then late game offense will be a little bit different. From there they'll probably set up just Jimmy to go matchup hunting in crunch time, as I'm guessing is what they'll go to a lot, and they'll slow it down and just rely on Jimmy. But right here's a Vincent here coming off the pick and roll, and he's going to throw this a really good pocket pass here for Bam, right? Bam on the run, getting into the middle of the court, into the paint, and then from there, it allows Bam to make a decision, and Jimmy's going to try to roam around the baseline, and he's trying to find the best position he can to either get a jump shot or potentially get an offensive rebound or just a layup, a lob, something, a little pocket pass, and that is how Miami is going to try to make their bread and butter. So how the Celtics counter that is that they are going to have to. Now, I'm interested to see how they do. I don't know how they're going to handle that yet, but I think I'm going to assume here that they're going to try to force Bam to be one-on-one. They're going to allow Bam to try to say, listen, Bam, if you can drop 30 and 40 on us every game, even if you do that, that may not be enough if we contain everybody else to less than 60 points. Right, we know Jimmy's just going to find a way to get 20 plus points regardless every game. So if we're forcing Jimmy and Bam to 50 points, and then force everybody else to 50 or less, that's our strategy to win. That is how we win this series. And so I would like to see them make Bam beat you with his scoring. And that could be a dangerous game to play a little bit if he really gets going. And then from there, they abandon the game plan, and now Bam's going and the others are going. But you don't want to get those others feeling like they're super involved in the offense. You want to try to slow it down, force Bam into isolation. And then if Bam is going to go into isolation, try to double him. He's a good playmaker, but he's a better playmaker when he can see the floor. When he can't see the floor, he is not as good as a playmaker. So from there, you can try to double him at times. Every other possession or something. If that he does, get in the post and he can't see the floor. I think that that is your best bet to try to stop Miami. Again, they're probably not going to get beat off the dribble crazy. The Celtics have elite defenders, good athletes, guys that can keep them in front, and then with Rob, it's even more security, even more of a security blanket. So from there, it's just figuring out how exactly you want to contain Jimmy, and then in crunch time, and then contain Bam when he gets the ball. And I think those are the two main things. And then not allowing, Kyle Lowry, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, and Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson, Max Strus and Caleb Martin will be more off the ball, and their on-ball guys will be Lowry and Vincent. So preventing those five guys from being able to be huge threats is important. And then we'll see if they keep Kevin Love on the floor or not. How long when they do. If Kevin Love is on the floor, then that does open up an opportunity for 3-point jump shots from him. That sounded very nerdy when I said that, but just open threes, it opens up an opportunity. Potentially they could run Spain with Kevin Love in the action instead. So then you're putting, potentially Al and Rob, and then you're taking away your bigs from the basket. So maybe they'll try to run some of that as well. We'll see how the Celtics counter. But Miami defensively, obviously we know that defense, they like to suck you into the paint and then force you to make rim reads from there. So the Celtics' key this series offensively will be how well do they make their rim reads. How good is their spacing? Their spacing is going to be critical, right? Notice this is what Miami wants. Suck you in, RJ Barrett. They can say, no, RJ, come on, take it. We know you're not going to take that semi-contested jump shot right there. So come on in, RJ. And then from there, notice the spacing is all kinds of messed up, and it forces, just a tough, weird freaking jump shot here from RJ Barrett. And this is what Miami wants. They want you to beat you one-on-one, get sucked into the paint to Bam, and then they can scramble. And then when they get into scramble, at that point, you have to work each possession. You just have to work each possession. Force Miami to make the mistakes first. All right, you can't, like early in the Celtics game when I talked about it on the Game 7 breakdown, you can't try to just early in the game they were playing out of control a little bit and just a little bit too sped up, and then it was just too sped up for them a little bit. The game was not coming to them as easily, and then when they settled in, that's when they took over the game. But they need to be focused and confident. Making their rim reads, and they cannot get caught up in trying to get sucked in. I think Joe is gonna do a really good job at helping prepare them. Is going to do a really good job at helping prepare them for that and making sure they know they just need to work each possession, control what they can control, work each possession, beat guys off the dribble, get into your driving kick game, and force and put Miami in a bad spot, and work each possession. When I say put them in a bad spot, I mean literally just beating them off the dribble consistently and then work them enough to the point to where you get the great shot in your possession. Miami is going to force the Celtics to take a lot of okay, good shots, and that's what they want. Early shot clock, okay, good shots, or not even that. Feel like you can get an okay, good shot and then realize you can't. And now they trap you, they double team you, or they clog up your passing lanes. And from there, everything can get kind of messed up. So that's why spacing will be crucial. And then if they do play Kevin Love, having Rob Williams as a vertical spacing threat will be also very important because, you want to be able to use Rob to roam around the baseline. If Bam is going to be, here, right, like example, Mitchell Robinson, then they kind of used it. But, notice Bam here has to go back to Mitchell Robinson as a vertical spacing threat. And that's going to open up, RJ Barrett to get an easy jump shot here. And so using that as advantage, getting Duncan Robinson in the action, getting, I guess Max Strus, who's a better defender, but not a good defender. In terms of playoff, he's a decent defender, but not a great defender. Max Strus, I guess he's an okay to decent defender. And then Caleb Martin, who's an okay to decent perimeter defender. Gabe Vincent, who's a good perimeter defender, but he lacks the size. And Kyle Lowry, same thing. He lacks the size, but he is stronger. He's much stronger, so he can do a little bit better job. He can guard the wings, but again, they can be able also to shoot over him. But Lowry likes to get up into your space to feel like you can't shoot up over him. So I just don't want to see them go like ultimate, matchup hunting and then get sucked into the paint, make a bad rim read, and then spacing gets messed up. At the end of the day, the Celtics will be okay if they can just control the things they can control and do it to the best of their ability. That sounds corny, but it's true. If they do that, I think they will be just fine using Rob to put, if they want to put Bam, away from the hoop, if you're able to beat Bam off the dribble, that's important. Or swing to a guy right away who can make a quick decision to beat, one of those worst, like Duncan Robinson or Max Strus, to beat them off the dribble. And at that point, Bam, if Bam is on Tatum, Tatum's away from the hoop, well spaced, and at that point you can force, pressure on the vertical spacing threat with a Rob and whoever is guarding him, and now Bam is going to have to make a decision: do I leave Jason Tatum wide open, or do I go try to, get in the action here? So I think at the end of the day, Boston Celtics have the clear advantage here. It's just whether or not they're going to show up with the right mentality and do the stuff they can control the best to their ability. If they do so, I think they're going to be in great shape, and I think they can win in 5 games. If not, they can lose this series. They can absolutely lose this series, but I don't see them. I see that at the worst case scenario, they would lose in 7. I don't see them losing in 6, even though that's Miami's best shot is to try to end it in 6. And at the end of the day, I don't see them losing that 7th game if they get there. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be in a good position for the finals at that point. If you want to put yourself in a good position for the finals, you got to wrap this up in 6 or less games. But I really struggle to see the Celtics not, if they get to a game 7, not being able to get into the right mentality to focus. And that's all that will, and that's going to be the biggest deciding factor is, how focused and how well they're going to execute. And I think in a game 7, like we saw in Philly, their senses were heightened and they played to the best of their ability. And that showed they were clearly the better team at the end of the day. So yeah, so I went with Celtics in 7. I guess I'll take Celtics in 6. Celtics. I'm torn between Celtics in 6 or 7. I feel like Miami can muck it up. So I'll say Celtics in 6.5. So that's what I'll say for this series. But yeah, so there's a quick preview of what it looks like for Celtics Heat, and I'll be doing game breakdowns throughout the series. So, all right, peace.